Chicago rapper Lil Durk is in police custody this morning.
He was allegedly involved in a murder for hire plot.
Lil Durk is facing the most serious legal challenge of his career. Federal prosecutors have charged him in connection with a murder for hire plot that allegedly stems from the 2020 killing of his close friend and collaborator, King Von. This isn't just another headline about a rapper in trouble. It's a story fueled by revenge, loyalty, and a trail of violence stretching from Chicago to Los Angeles, according to authorities. Durk was recently arrested in Florida alongside 5 others affiliated with his OTF, Only the Family Collective. Prosecutors allege they were all involved in a coordinated plan to retaliate against Quando Rando's crew, the group believed to be tied to Von's death. The feds claim the plan escalated in August 2022 when members of OTF, allegedly acting under Durk's orders, traveled to Los Angeles with a clear mission to take out Quando Rondo. But things didn't unfold as planned. On August 19, 2022, Quando Rondo and his cousin, Lil Pab, were in Los Angeles, reportedly handling business and spending time with close associates. Aware of the ongoing tension with Durk's circle, Rondo moved cautiously. But the threat wasn't far behind. That afternoon, as the two pulled into a gas station near the Beverly Center to refuel, a white sedan that had been tailing them silently closed in. What followed was a calculated ambush. The calm of the sunny LA day was shattered in an instant. Gunfire erupted, and Lil Pab was fatally shot, marking a tragic escalation in a cycle of vengeance that started years earlier on the streets of Atlanta.
Right now, the search is on for 3 people who police say shot at a Savannah rapper, killing a member of his entourage. It happened in Los Angeles, and cameras captured the aftermath.
As gunfire pierced the air and chaos broke out, the black SUV quickly became the epicenter of a devastating scene. Panic spread in seconds, and it didn't take long to realize the ambush had turned deadly. Lil Pab, Quando Rondo's cousin, had been struck critically wounded in the hail of bullets. At first, the full impact of what had just occurred didn't register for Quando. But later, as reality set in, his reaction, raw and heartbreaking, was caught on camera. The audio of his anguished screams, filled with shock and sorrow, went viral within hours. His voice, cracking with emotion, echoed through the frenzy as he came to the grim realization: his cousin wasn't going to survive.
The ending of the shooting that started in Los Angeles, California. Sheriff's deputies pulling out a man who had been shot in an SUV.
For Quando Rondo, this wasn't just a tragic loss, it was a moment of raw, public grief, offering a rare, unfiltered glimpse into the kind of pain artists often carry behind the scenes. His scream, captured on video and laced with shock, disbelief, and anguish, hit the internet like a shockwave. It wasn't just a viral clip, it was a brutal reminder of how real, dangerous, and deeply personal these ongoing street conflicts can get. Immediately after the shots rang out and Lil Pab was hit, police and paramedics rushed to the scene. The quiet gas station near the Beverly Center was instantly transformed into a chaotic crime scene, with sirens, flashing lights, and yellow tape sealing off the area. First responders tried desperately to save Lil Pab, but his injuries were too severe. He died right there under the harsh glow of police lights as Quando watched, completely shattered, visibly shaken, and pacing back and forth in disbelief. Quando's cries of agony echoed across the parking lot, recorded by stunned bystanders. Those heart-wrenching screams quickly went viral, symbolizing a grief that couldn't be hidden or silenced, a devastating reaction to losing someone so close. So suddenly, meanwhile, the investigation had already begun. Witnesses reported seeing a white sedan speed away immediately after the shooting, raising immediate suspicions that this was a targeted hit, not some random act of violence. As law enforcement dug deeper, the case began to unravel, pointing towards something far more calculated: a network of retaliation tied to the death of King Von and allegedly orchestrated by Lil Durk and members of his OTF, Only the Family Collective. Prosecutors now allege that this wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment act of revenge, was part of an organized, vetted murder for hire plot fueled by loyalty, grief, and a need to maintain power and legacy. According to the federal indictment, Durk was the mastermind behind it all. Authorities claim he provided the funding, resources, and direction to carry out the hit, which ultimately led to Lil Pab's death. The government says members of OTF were promised more than just emotional closure. Court documents describe coded conversations, discussing financial rewards and opportunities within the music industry for those who carried out the mission. This allegedly gave the conspirators a clear incentive to track down Quando or someone close to him in Los Angeles and send a message to the entire rap game. Prosecutors argue that King Von's death in 2020 was a turning point for Durk, a moment that demanded a response. They say this wasn't just about mourning a friend, but about protecting his status in the streets and within his crew. To them, Durk felt obligated to retaliate. And that sense of duty led to what they're calling a cold, calculated murder for hire scheme. Key to the prosecution's case is the assertion that Durk's associates acted under his leadership and with the promise of reward. The indictment details how Con Grant, Durk's top associate, handled on-the-ground logistics, booking hotels, buying ski masks, acquiring 2 luxury vehicles, and even supplying firearms, including one modified into a fully automatic weapon. All of this, prosecutors claim, done under Durk's direction. Evidence also points to the group regrouping at an In-N-Out after the ambush, where payments were allegedly discussed before they returned to San Diego to fly back home. Records show financial transactions and flight bookings that the government claims tie directly back to Durk. This is where things get especially serious. These aren't just accusations of passive involvement or affiliation. Prosecutors are portraying Durk as the orchestrator, funding the mission, calling the shots, and overseeing the operation. If the court buys this narrative, he could be facing life in prison or even the death penalty. The case is reportedly backed by digital communication records, flight data, and surveillance footage, evidence that can be extremely persuasive. In court, prosecutors are also believed to be counting on potential cooperation from one or more co-defendants, which could further solidify their case. What adds a layer of tragic irony to all of this is that for the past 2 years, Lil Durk has been making visible efforts to distance himself from street life. He's publicly embraced Islam, even changing his name to Mustafa Abdul Malik, and has leaned into a new image centered around growth and community. Through his Neighborhood Heroes Foundation, he's worked to uplift underprivileged youth and promote peace. His efforts earned him recognition back home, including an honorary key to the city in the Chicago suburb of Broadview, Illinois. Now, all of that progress hangs in the balance. The man who had seemingly turned the page is facing allegations that, if proven true, could erase everything he's built and potentially cost him everything.
Durk Banks, or Lil Durk, was honored and celebrated last week with keys to the villages of Bellwood and Broadview.
And so on behalf of the Village of Broadview, we are honored to present this key to the city to Durk Banks Neighborhood Heroes.
And this all went down just last week. Local leaders had literally just been praising Lil Durk for his efforts to give back and promote positive change, even presenting him as a symbol of redemption. Fun fact, or maybe not so fun, he was recently awarded an honorary key to the city. But following this federal indictment, that key got revoked. Not long before that, Durk publicly announced that his criminal record had been wiped clean. Now, you have to wonder, was all this part of a bigger strategy? Because when someone with Durk's level of influence and visibility is involved in serious legal trouble, rebranding can play a major role in shaping public perception and maybe even legal outcomes. Think about it. The spiritual transformation. Embracing Islam, changing his name to Mustafa Abdul Malik. The community work, launching the Neighborhood Heroes Foundation, those moves painted the picture of someone trying to leave the streets behind. Whether it was about personal growth or a strategic defense, it sent a clear message. I'm not that guy anymore. And maybe, just maybe, it wasn't about avoiding trouble altogether, but rather softening the blow if something did go down. Because someone in Durk's position absolutely understands the power of public opinion. By presenting himself as a reformed figure, he created a kind of buffer, something that could potentially influence how the media, fans, and even the courts view him. Still, the big question remains, was this transformation genuine? Or was it just a smart play? Personally, I think if the prosecution really has solid recordings or digital evidence linking Durk to orchestrating a murder for hire, this isn't going to end well. Defending against premeditated murder, especially tied to conspiracy or organized crime, isn't easy. These are the kinds of charges that usually come with very serious sentencing. And given how high-profile Durk is, authorities might aim to make an example out of him. Unless his legal team can expose weaknesses in the evidence or discredit key witnesses, this could get very ugly very fast, even without direct proof. If the circumstantial and digital trail is strong enough, it can be enough to land a conviction in a federal case. Honestly, it's just sad to see someone who's made it out of the trenches, built wealth, fame, and influence still caught up in the street cycle. You'd think with all the success and opportunity Durk has had, he'd be far removed from this kind of situation. But clearly, old ties run deep. We're going to have to wait and see how this plays out, because cases like this don't wrap up quickly. It's going to take time, and whatever happens, it's bound to leave a mark not just on Durk, but on the culture as a whole. Anyway, this Lil Durk story is absolutely wild.